Good morning, poker fans and poker friends. Today is Thursday, the 7th of November. This is Run It Up 2. Welcome back. We're looking at a couple tables of 25, no limit today. If you were with us last time, you know that we booked a modest win, 5-something, I believe. And not long before that, I think we'd booked a bigger win, maybe $50, something like that. And it looked like things had turned around. Our downswing looked like it was coming to a close. Sadly, poker has decided to spank us again. Money is falling from the bankroll like the autumn leaves from the trees outside. We'll go over that, kind of exactly what happened in just a minute, but let's get caught up on the numbers. We were at... By we, I mean the bankroll, $427.03. I think that's where we checked out in the last video. Today, we are sitting down and drawing from a bankroll of $311.16. Yes, another mighty tumble. Now, really, that's only... That's not even 5 buy-ins. Certainly easy for something like that to happen, and it's not necessarily indicative of your making huge mistakes. It's one of those things that certainly can happen within the realm of bad run possibility. But that's always the question, right? I really wish I had been able to record some of that play so that we could evaluate. We could kind of look at it and say, okay, were we making mistakes? Were we just getting unlucky? What was the real story there? That's one of the things that, for an amateur player anyway, can be very difficult to tease apart and know for sure. You know, I ran so bad is the very common cry of many a poor losing poker player who is unwilling to accept that maybe he is making mistakes. We hope we're not making that error, but we always, when we're losing, want to make sure that we're not, or kind of do what we can to verify that we're still doing okay. And so towards that end, we can talk about sort of what happened. Like I said, I wish it had been recorded. Let's go ahead and raise up our Ace-10. A limp under the gun doesn't seem too strong to me. There were some hands, the major hands, that all this kind of happened pretty much yesterday. Didn't make a video yesterday, but played quite a bit and managed to lose quite a bit. The major hands were all, it seems to me, pretty unlucky. Not to make this a bad beat for them, but it's worth going through these things. I think when you lose, it's really important to take a close look at the significant hands you played. And, it's a good impetus to sort of reevaluate your play, double check on things, make sure you're not, it's hard to know if you're making errors that you're not aware of, but anyway, you look for patterns, you try to figure it all out. And some of the hands did seem pretty clear-cut. We managed to get a full stack all-in on the turn against a loose player with kind of a stationary player with top pair top kicker, and he put his money in with a naked flush draw, no overs, no nothing, and managed to hit it on the river. So that's a pretty well-defined situation. We know, that how much of a favorite we are. We know that we were ahead when the money got in, and we know, that we lost that. How often we're going to win that and lose that, and 1 out of 5 times we're going to lose it, so we lost it. That was that time. So that was a little bit sad. Another hand was flush under a flush. That's the kind of situation, certainly, you can just sort of automatically say, well, that's just bum luck. Got to get your money in with a flush. That's not necessarily true. Of course, that's all situation dependent. If it's the tightest guy you've seen all week, maybe you don't want to be getting it in with your jack-high flush, I think it was. But it wasn't, at least in my estimation, it wasn't a super nitty guy. So let's see, 25 cents doesn't seem like very much. It seems not so strongo. A flat call of 25 cents also doesn't seem too strong. Now he's going to insta-call. One thing we can say about this guy, I think he's probably never doing this without at least a heart in his hand. So we don't want to see another heart fall, because chances are it's going to be a little bigger than 9. It's possible every once in a while somebody makes that minimum bet to induce you to raise, but that snap call was so fast that seemed a little weird. I mean, he could have a queen. I tend to think he's still kind of on the weak side. And this may be a bad read, but yeah, he did have a queen. So the snap call there was, often when people do that so fast, sometimes they're trying to intimidate you, make you slow down, which he probably was trying to do because he had some concerns over hearts. Now, once another heart doesn't fall, I mean, what does he think? We flopped a flush? He probably, I mean, it seems unlikely that we're going to have a bigger queen there. Anyway, I think that's okay. Maybe not perfect, but didn't lose too much. We'll move on. So we did, speaking of flushes, did have a flush, turned the flush against a player. It was another situation where each of us had full stacks. There was pretty heavy betting. I think maybe we had a pair. We had at least a pair and a draw on the flop, if not 2 overs and the flush draw. Anyway, got there on the turn, and our flush was not good against his larger flush. So that was the second one, and that's one of those spots. If he's nitty, maybe he's never getting it in there without a flush. But I don't think that was the case. I think it was a player who would have been happy to pretty much get any flush in there. Well, I mean, not just any flush, but get lots of different hands in there, 2-pair hands, sets, all that kind of stuff. He wasn't really a nitty guy. A little sad to fold the queen deuce suited that time, eh? Another hand was ace-king against aces, and that was a very loose player who was doing a lot of shoving. Pre-flop, he didn't seem to want to play a lot of, hands post-flop, but he had shoved a handful of times already, and he re-raised this with our ace-king. We went ahead and got it in and lost to his aces. Again, that's a situation where if, that guy hadn't played a pot in 30 minutes, I mean, it's ace-king. What are you going to do, really? But certainly against the guy who had been a little shove-happy pre-flop, seems like there was nothing we could do. And what was the other big? There were 3 hands for full stacks. I'll think of the other one in a minute. No, that was 3. There was one more for maybe a full stack that I can't recall right now. Anyway, so it certainly seems in recollection like we got really, really unlucky. But we also know, I think a really strong club is going to be betting that flop. Don't ask me why we didn't bet the flop. I was busy talking instead of raising. If that's a long wait and a check, we're going to assume that he's not going to be willing to keep going with much. We are a bit concerned that people are going to find it hard to get away from a flush, but in all likelihood, there we go. So that worked out. We happen to know because, we read about poker, we like poker, we like to learn, we like to educate ourselves when possible. We are very familiar with the fact that, the bad beats are a lot easier to remember. It's very, very easy for the bad stuff to stick out in your mind. So, we hope there's not too much of that effect going on. I mean, we were able to identify, that was three hands right there, flush under flush. Got it in ahead of a flush draw, and ace-king versus aces. Three hands, if my belief about the opponents in those situations are correct, my beliefs about them are correct, then it seems pretty clear-cut that we ran bad. At least for those three buy-ins. And like I said, I think there was one more that I can't recall now. Maybe I'll come up with it in a minute. So, nothing for it but to keep going. Just like last time we had that downswing, we're just going to kind of get back on the horse and see what we can pull off. Anything else we have to go over? Oh, there is one more thing. One more thing. I have mentioned that all of you watching are welcome to leave your questions and comments in that comment area below the video. You are also welcome, if you prefer a more private forum, to email runitup2 headquarters, and you can do that at, what is it with hearts today? You can do it with at runitup2@gmail.com. That's runitup2TOO. So we are really hoping that a strong heart is out there and is just going to find it difficult to fold. This is one of those spots where bet sizing probably, there isn't a huge difference between maybe betting more and sort of a smidge less to make it more likely to get a call. If somebody has a king and they're believing that it's good, a king of hearts, and they're going to believe it's good, or even the queen, and they think they're likely to be winning, they're going to call. They're just going to call, and they'll be happy enough to call full pot, just as easily as 3/4 pot, something like that, I think. Especially the way that went down, checks all around. I mean, we could be making a full pot bet with, lots of hearts there. We didn't have to have the ace to be making that bet, considering the checks in the flop. So there we go. That's what's new in the Run-It-Up 2 world. We have got a long ways to go to catch up to our model, our mentor over there at Run It Up. He's up to, I think, he was just nearing 2K when I checked the other day. So, more power to him. We're going to have to get running a little bit better to get there, but it could happen, We can get, you're allowed to run good from time to time. Okay. As dry as that is pretty prime for a nice little half pot. C-bet there. That is a good spade, not a good rank, however, providing a second 9 on the board. There's no sense in re-raising here. He's not going to probably fold a king, or, certainly not a 9, probably not a king anyway. We're not quite 3-1. He's only got $10 behind, but this is nut flush. The nut flush is still going to lose to king 9, for example. And it doesn't come through anyway. I think the chances that he's bluffing here are slim. Oh, I know what the other hand was. We had a hand. There's a jack-high board. I think we were betting with some kind of draw. And a player who was reasonably conservative called I think we opened pre-flop and c-bet the flop. A relatively conservative player called. So most often, the way that guy had been playing, he was going to have something. I think we improved on the turn, maybe made a lesser pair to go with our draw, something like that. We picked up some equity. Put another bet out there. I think there was also, it added another draw that could potentially get completed on the river, which was a good thing because he was the kind of player who I thought might fold to a bunch of scary cards that could have come. And we did end up shoving a river as a bluff. On the one hand, so the question there is, did we make a mistake? We had correctly identified that he had some kind of hand. We also had correctly identified that he was a reasonably conservative player who's willing to fold. He was just a little bit on the foldy side, and if he had top pair, was there any chance he was going to fold? Considering the river card, I think, completed at least one of the draws. It was a scary card the way we had hoped. We shoved it. He thought for a while. I think the river card was an ace. He thought for a while. And then he called and he showed ace jack. He had river top two pair. And even that, the fact that he took a minute before he called, he wasn't slow rolling us. I think he was legitimately thinking about the likelihood of his being beat. So that was an indication that we were doing the right thing. I think if he hadn't picked up two pair on the river, he was going to fold the pair that he did have. So I think it was another situation where our thinking was okay. We pretty much had it right, but a bad thing happened. And we thought it was a good thing. We thought it was a good card for us. It was a good bluffing card, the way it all had unfolded. But it happened to also be a card that gave him top two. So maybe there's one more step in our logic that we could have considered, that, if an ace was going to be a reasonable bluffing opportunity, kind of scary card to use, maybe we didn't consider deeply enough the likelihood that it was going to give him two pair type hands. I mean, that's possible that we didn't take that step and that was a mistake, but all in all, we were in the hand deep. We gave it a shot. We thought there was some chance of success, and it didn't work. So hopefully, if we run bad, either continue to run bad, or hopefully we can turn things around and the next little downswing will be way, way off in the future. But when it does happen, because they come around sooner or later, hopefully we'll get the video a-rolling so that you can bear witness to all of that stuff and weigh in with your own opinions. You can say, yeah, but that guy was never going to fold. Yeah, but that guy, is a calling monkey, or whatever it is. In the meantime, not too much working for us. We're down $7, $8. Everybody looks reasonably. We've got one short stack out of 10 opponents. That's pretty unusual. So many short stackers around. What else is new in the... I'll tell you what else is new in the Run It Up 2 world. Love the music. Love a little bit of background music playing poker. You may have noticed that. You may have been annoyed by that. I'm like, man, that just sounds horrible. That droning stuff in the background. I don't know how it all kind of sounds or annoying it may or may not be to you. What I do know now is that the little bots, the little bot crawlers that will send out to scour the internet for copyright infringement have found Run It Up 2, and I had a couple notices saying that content was matched, i.e. their bot recognized some copyrighted music and said, hey, You're not supposed to have that up there. This is a wonderful streaming internet radio, free radio service, listener-supported radio service out of San Francisco that I enjoy quite frequently. Soma FM. I suggest you go check them out. But sadly, we may have to keep the music very low or off entirely for this and future episodes of Run It Up 2. So Pocket 3s could be looking okay on a flop like this. With a little bit of wetness to it, it is also a reasonable story that we could have made a pair there, and we want to go ahead and take it now by check raising. So that's what we've done. And he says, heck no, I've got overs with diamonds, something like that, maybe two pair. I'm going to guess it's some kind of combo draw. Usually when people are this eager to get it in. And we're not in great shape against that. We're a slight dog, but there's 20 bucks in there. I think we're going to have to go. If he's got a pair, obviously we're in horrible shape, but I think we're going to have to take a look. As we hoped, overs and a flush draw. So, there's a little run good for you. There's a little run good for you. But that's a very typical pattern too. We've talked quite a bit about tells at these levels, and that is one. People recognize. A lot of players recognize when they're ahead of a pair. They look at a board like that, and they know that overs and a flush draw is really pretty strong. And they instantly go about trying to get the money in. And in a manner, I mean, how often are people really acting that aggressive at these levels? It just doesn't happen all that often. This is a little bit sketchy. We have some serious, I think, reverse implied odds here. And we could be dead off the bat. I think we're just going to pass. But when people are doing that and then suddenly they just are blasting away, itching to get their money in, they're almost always going to have that kind of combo draw. I don't know about almost always, but a lot of the time. It's something that you frequently see. So we're happy that we were able to sort of read that right and take our chances with a pair. And nicely it held up. So let's see what we can do here. I think maybe checking is okay. Not at all surprising that he bets. $230. Certainly could have an ace. He doesn't have to have an ace. Could be bluffing, could have a king like ours. I'm inclined to find out. Yeah. So there's one where you can tell me that that's ridiculous and that he's never doing that without an ace. But I've been... that was just kind of curiosity as much as anything. Not our favorite board in the world. But not our least favorite either. Now, I don't think there's too much we can do. This may, let's see. I think it's just the end of the story. End of the line. It's possible we were getting bluffed, but seems a little doubtful, especially since he saw us make the call with pocket threes just a minute ago, if he's paying attention. He may have just thought that we're calling monkey. He also saw us do the serious calling monkey business against number 5 there. So that could very well just be our image in his eyes. So, I think that catches us up on the general state of things. We are trying to be hyper-vigilant about our play, looking for leaks as strongly as ever. And, of course, this is the process, right? This is why Run It Up 2 exists, because the possibility for really horrible errors exists. Its potential is much greater here than it is over at Run It Up 2, where the instigator is a professional. Top 2 looks pretty darn good. More hearts. Suit of the day. You know, I'd love to go ahead and kind of pop this up a little bit, but there's a short stack. There's one short stack. Everybody else 1631. Let's go ahead and do it. Now, is this a leak? Is this an error? Possibly. I mean, King 6 is not a great hand, but it, you know, so often at these tables, this kind of weakness. I mean, this guy was, he posted. That guy, all he did was limp to get into a family pot, potentially. And so often at these levels, you see that just kind of everybody limp in all the way around. You end up playing a family pot, and then it's a little bit like bingo. So we don't want that to happen. We don't want to put 25 cents in there and kind of take our take our chances and hope to get lucky. We don't want to abandon the advantage of position there on the button if we have an opportunity to use it. I mean, that was almost $1 that 85 cents that it was clearly we were able to pick up, and declining to do so would potentially have been a mistake, right? Doesn't that make sense? Okay, so I got speaking of limping and taking advantage, number 2 on the button, trying to sneak in for 25 cents. We won't stand for that. Second pair, getting it all in, interesting. And the queen balls again. And probably work on getting this in. Kindly shows us ace 8. Just messin'. Just messin'. What does he think we're raising under the gun with nothing there? Come on, buddy. So, let's see, how's this working? Did he miss a blind? So, again, this guy is just completing, nothing else. He's the big blind. I mean, why wouldn't we think that that potential to pick up dead money is there again? And it is. Meanwhile, our table is disintegrating. Ace 4 on the button. And the short stacker. Willing to call. Is this the same guy? This is another reason to mark people. I think I mentioned it last time, is that Queen 10 got it in earlier over here, so he was willing to put in, risk his stack against a button raise with second pair. Considering we don't have a pair, we would hate to see him willing to get it in with second or third pair and lose that way. So now we feel pretty confident that we're okay. So if he's got some kind of pair, he may pay a smaller bet. I don't think he's going to call all in. I think, let's try 188. He just wasn't going to call anything there, it looks like. So, tell you what, let's do, as they say. Because we've had a couple of well, it's starting out off as a reasonably interesting little session here. I think what we'll do is maybe split this video into two. I'd like to keep playing at these tables and see if we can't make some progress. I mean, because we're essentially even right now, right? We're up $4. We're down $1.50 over there. I'd like to go ahead and keep playing a bit, and I think to do that, we'll just kind of keep things rolling, call it a faux cut. I have no idea what kind of things these are called in the biz, because I'm not in the biz. But let's. What that means is we're going to check in with the ledger. We're going to kind of make our statement, status. Well, let's go ahead and sit out in the blind when it gets around. Okay. And then evaluate from there. So we got 1185 behind. He's raised. Ace King suited is looking tasty. Reasonable flop to c-bet, I think, over here. There are many who will call once and fold a second time. He apparently is not one of them. I'm going to be a little sad if it's the 5 or the 3 and a third bullet would have gotten it done. but in all likelihood, I think it's a king that he's not going to fold. So let's go ahead and pump this up, see if we can't get his money in pre-flop. King 9, we have him dominated. That works out great. Okay, so that's fantastic. We're going to be able to book a small win. 24-12 on the left, 35-68 on the right. An action session, a little down, a little springing back action. Once again, we're able to sort of recognize a pattern we often see at these levels of the guy up there who was so anxious to get his money in with his combo draw, that effect that we've seen time and time again. So if you're out there playing 25 no limit or 10 no limit, look for that stuff. See if you don't catch a guy getting over anxious on a flop. Now there are some people who will continue to sort of do everything they can, scrambling to get their money in that situation on the turn, or call everything off on the turn. Which may be alright for them. Sometimes I think people don't realize or have much of an idea of how much their equity sort of falls after the turn card, which is maybe why they are so hungry to get it in on the flop. Maybe they don't know what to do. If the turn comes, they recognize their equity falls, and then they're not sure how to proceed, which is often why in a situation like that, if I have a made hand that I have a little more confidence in, I'm really happy to kind of get them to the turn and let those odds flip-flop and let them be at a disadvantage and see if I can catch them making mistakes that way. So, keep an eye out for those sorts of things. In the meantime, we have booked $9.80 profit, bringing things up to $320.96. So still quite a ways to go, even to get back where we started. But hopefully, in our next little half hour of play, we're just gonna keep trucking along, and we can add some money to that and just keep running it up too, just like the other guy. So thanks for joining. Questions, comments below, or at runitup2@gmail.com. Check back next time, see how we fare. See you then.